Today I'm going to talk about the subject of finding a business that fits you. You know, it's kind of like a glove. You know, when you put on a glove, it needs to fit. I'm a mediocre golf player. I'm playing a little bit of racquetball now, and in both cases I wear one glove on one hand. And it's important that that glove fits just a little bit, not too small, not too big. And so in finding a business, we've talked a little bit about catching an idea and making that idea into a plan, but I want to go deeper into this idea of finding something that fits you. I call it a corridor. It's like a pathway, it's like an avenue, it's like a river has two banks. Somewhere between those two banks is where the river flows. And the river flows faster in the center and maybe slower on the outside, but it's still, unless there's a flood, it flows within those banks. So think about what you're going to do. Is what I'm going to do flow or funnel or channel within the corridor of my interest and skill sets? I believe God's created us uniquely and individually. I don't think that people are intended to be all the same. Guess what? If we all were, we'd all open 10,000 pizza stores and everybody have a pizza store. That's not the way it works. If you're interested in cooking, if you have that idea, that corridor, that influence, that background, that provision, go down the cooking route. If you're interested in sports, go down the cooking route of sports. Not everybody has to be an athlete to be in the marketplace in the sports industry. There's business, there's all the way from trading cards like baseball cards, there's supplying different equipment, and there's broadcasting. I mean, there's a ton of things that are connected to sports. If you're interested in other things, whether it be, in my case, manufacturing. So let me talk about my corridor real quick. Number one, I was born and raised on a farm and ranch. That was a wonderful upbringing. I was out there, had torn jeans before that was fashionable. I had grease under my fingers. I was out there working for my dad, driving tractor, occasionally riding a horse. Hey, that kind of established my corridor to begin with. I went to college. I graduated from college and I went to work for a big oil company. But I went to a manufacturing company, and actually we were grinding up dirt and putting it in a bag. Not literally, it was called bentonite. It's what's used in the oil field. It was expensive dirt once we put it in that bag, but dirty, filthy, again, welders, electricians, things like that. I moved to Tulsa, Oklahoma. I couldn't get a job. I come to Tulsa and I own and start a moving and storage business. I'm here with a horse trailer behind my car. I'm in houses, but I'm sweating. I'm carrying furniture. I'm carrying a sofa up to the second floor, putting it in the game room. I'm carrying mattresses. I'm moving offices. I mean, we're sweating. We're hot. We're out in the field. And then I now own a machine shop. These guys behind me in this business is great people, but this is my corridor. A little grease on the floor. Everybody doesn't have to wear suits and ties. I mean, this is the place I feel comfortable. So I've stayed inside my corridor, and that's where I function best. And I suggest you have a corridor. You have an interest realm. God put that way, and you should look inside that corridor in making this become something that fits you. It's very important. You're going to have a sixth sense about it. There's another entire teaching I'll make on experience. Once you're inside that corridor, you've got to get some experience, but right now, find that corridor, find that business that fits inside of there. Then there's a couple things you could look for. One of them is find something that's in surplus and sell it. You know, you can actually sell something or make a tentative sale before you even own something. I've heard that over and over again. Let me give an example. I'm in Wyoming working for the big oil company in this manufacturing plant, processing bentonite and putting it in bags and putting it on bulk containers to go on the railroad. And in the process, there's pallets. There's pallets in this business, but in that case, these pallets had to be exactly the right dimension. 42, 48. That was the two dimensions, two-way pallets. And the bags didn't fit on a 46 by 50. They need to be exactly the same size. And of course, we had a pallet supplier that supplied them new, but I could see that there's a business in used pallets, because all these pallets are coming back from all over the United States in our containers. These are railroad containers, and we're dumping them, we're burning them, we're trying to get rid of them. I found a way to sell those pallets before I even owned them. They were going to the dump, and 7 times while I'm going to Bible school, I picked up the phone and I made a sale because I knew where the pallets were, they were under my control, and I sold them before I actually had possession of them. That was $1,000 profit 7 different times in the early 80s. I'm telling you what, that helped. Number 2, find a need and fill it. Find a need and fill it. And God will show you different needs in when you come about it. So in that regard, finding a need and filling it. Well, I moved to Broken Arrow, go to Bible school. I couldn't get a job in my own profession, my own experience. I had 10 years experience. And so I was here and I noticed people were moving. They had a propensity to move a lot. That's true of people in the United States. People, I think, move from one house to another house for a various number of reasons. One house is too small, they want to go to a bigger house. This house is too big, I want to go to a smaller house. I actually think some people moved because their house got too dirty and they wanted to move into a clean house. I mean, wild reasons. They move all across the United States, move from Tulsa to Detroit, from Detroit to Dallas. Moving was a need, and there wasn't that many people in it, because guess what? It was sweaty, it was hot, it was hard work, and I came to the conclusion that since I'd moved here using my dad's horse trailer, pulled behind my family car, I put an ad in the paper and said, let me help you move. I have a 5x16 trailer. You know, I can tell you a whole lot more story about that, and yet the reality was I saw a need. I started moving people with little or no money. I had an ad in the paper that said, let me help you move. I didn't put the word horse inside my ad, but I said, we have a 5x16 trailer. And people started calling me, and this need was prevalent. You know, I found out there was like thousands of realtors selling homes and a very, very few people moving the furniture that was a result of somebody moving into that home. So from that, I went from one truck to 2 trucks to 3 trucks. I became a rental dealer where I rented trucks for another big company. I became an agent for major van lines. Then I had a semi, 1 semi, 2 semis. I had 7 semis that would go anywhere in the United States. I had 50 to 75 employees. I was a little under $3 million in annual sales. I owned it for 17 years. That all started because I saw a need and it was inside my corridor, and I pursued to fit it. I think there's ways to start like that all the time. But I do think that you, as an interested party wanting to enter into business, wanting to create a free revenue streams, extra revenue streams, you can start some of these businesses while you have a full-time job. Don't short your full-time job. Always put in more time in that job than you ever expected to be paid for, and then on the side, put in some extra for an extra revenue stream. Guide yourself, challenge yourself, work yourself. And we just believe that God, with God's help, you will find something inside your corridor that'll be an idea, and then later on we'll talk about writing a plan, understanding financial statements, understanding the first steps, how to put systems in place, but it's important to start with the right business.